I don't really know if this was the case for like Monster Hunter 1. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, I have no idea. But I picked up on this and I was just like smiling because I just thought this is such a brilliant and subtle, elegant way to portray this information, to give the player a feedback loop without having to necessarily lift the veil completely, you know? I took a switch axe and the whole quest was just like robot sex. Just clank, clank, clank. What's up, everybody? It's been a while since the last time that I uploaded. I just want to let you know that I'm still creating content. I haven't disappeared. It's just that I'm working on something that has taken me quite a while. It's a bit of a passion project in a way, because I want to like convey something very specific, and it's almost done. But I hired an editor for this one because I needed help. So it's still not finished, but at least my part, like, that's all finished. The moment I get the part from the editor, I'm uploading the next video. So anyway, so last time that you checked with me, I made a video about my first impressions about GU, and I thought it was a good idea to then make a video about, like, what happens when you have played for 100 hours. I'm not going to go in any specific order, I just have a list of things that I want to cover, and I'm gonna go from there. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about is ambush monsters. I think this concept needs to come back to the franchise. What do I mean with ambush monsters? Basically, there's a gathering quest that they send you on, and then you get there and there's a Glavenus. To be fair, I was kinda mad the first time that it happened to me, because I got to the quest, and because it was a gathering quest, I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna take this chance to actually, you know, go around farming different items. In every gathering quest that I did in low rank, I would take the opportunity to actually farm items, because I still didn't have access to the farm, meaning that my resource generation, you know, my ability to have more items and to get a good stock of consumables, it was not there yet, right? So I had to manually farm things on the different maps. So I just went out to the quest with an empty item pouch, because I was going to fill it up on the quest. And then I get there and there's a Glavenus, and I'm like, all right, sure. Let's go! Let's go! Because I was not really afraid of, like, fighting Glavenus. And what's cool is that in this moment in the game, obviously, you're fighting things that are a lot weaker than a Glavenus, right? Around that part of the progression in the game, you're still fighting things like Royal Ludroth, or maybe like Gypsaurus, stuff like that, if I remember correctly. And then boom! Glavenus, right? So I was like, sure, let's do it. Just let me go back to camp. Let me grab some items and then we'll throw hands. I'm not afraid of you. And then I go back to the village. I take my items. I reopen the quest. And what do you know? Glavenus is not longer there. And it made me angry. Because I did want to kill it right there and then. The first time that I saw him. So what I did was I kinda save scummed my file. Because I really wanted to get Glavenus in the first try, or at least try it, you know? If he killed me, if he tripled carted me, maybe I would just, like, give up. It was like, okay, I was not good enough, I don't deserve to, like, fight Glavenus and kill it the first time that I see them. And so I go back, and I fight Glavenus, and I kill him. And it was pretty cool, because it's a really good fight in GU, especially since I'm playing, like, Adept Chargeblade. It was super, super fun to do, and it was really, really rough. So after this happened, I never left the village without at least some potions. Because if this was going to happen again, I didn't want to be unprepared. And to be fair, that feeling of, like, you can call it maybe like a paranoia, is something that's pretty cool that GU managed to create on me. Because I'm the type of guy that when I see a monster for the first time, I want to fight it. And now I didn't want to be unprepared if this was going to happen again. So yeah, kind of like a layer of immersion that you should never leave the village unprepared. That was pretty cool, to be honest. I didn't know about this at the time, somebody told me later. And it's the fact that when you fight a monster that is not the target of the quest, they have tripled the health bar. And I didn't know. And I not only fought Glavenus as an ambush monster, I fought Glavenus, Astalos, Mizutsune, and Gammoth the first time that they appeared. I did not give a shit. Every time that one of these, like, ambush monsters would appear, it was on sight. I didn't give a shit. I wanted to fight them. The only one that I skipped on that note was Valstrax, because he appears when you kill Gravios. And I was pretty much like, I had no items by then. I had already drank all my potions. I knew that, you know, Valstrax was going to beat the shit out of me if I tried to actually fight him. So that was the one quest that I really tried to confront right there and then. Speaking of Gravios, I hadn't fought Gravios before in any Monster Hunter title. I had fought Besarios, and, you know, it was whatever. I don't know. Besarios is a bit of a lame monster. I don't know. It's just a rock. We should just let him be. But in the case of Gravios, I kinda get the idea that he was there to teach you the value of sharpness. And it is such a shame that in Wilds, he kinda gets just gimped by the wound system and the like weak spot system, which is the weak spots are this like quick time event where sometimes like monsters will do really big attacks and you get a chance to focus strike them for free sometimes, even though there's no wounds on any parts of them. So Gravios gets demolished by the wound mechanic, and it's supposed to be the monster that teaches you the value of sharpness. I think if Wilds wanted to convey that message, they would have had to show you Gravios a lot earlier in the game so that the player understands that damage is not the only thing that matters, right? Sharpness has a damage purpose, but it also has like this... Sharpness sometimes feels not only like an upgrade, but it also feels like a side grade, in the sense that it will make your life easier. If a monster has really hard hit zones and your weapon is bouncing a lot, you can kind of circumvent that and play around that by having better sharpness. And that means that sometimes you can go for a weapon that has lower damage, but because it has higher sharpness and that allows you to just attack the monster more frequently and more freely, it can actually become a more convenient and attractive option for you to go for that higher sharpness weapon. At the time, I was still playing Charge Blade when I had to fight Gravios, and so what I did was, because I fought him 2 times with Charge Blade. The first time, he triple carted me. The second time, I kinda got bored and I just changed my mind. I abandoned the quest and I said, I am not hunting this guy and bouncing every attack off. I am just going to pick up a switch axe. Fuck this. I am not playing this game. And so what I did, I just went back to base. I took a switch axe and the whole quest was just like robot sex. Just clank, clank, clank. I just abused the fuck out of the Mind's Eye mechanic, the natural Mind's Eye that Switch X has, on sword mode. And that's how I beat Gravios. I was carted once by him on my first attempt with Switch X, because I was still like adjusting, and then I got him on my 4th attempt in total with Switch X. I was playing Adept Switch X. So that's what I did. That's how I solved that situation. And this is where you can start to really see how much the Monster Hunter experience stays with you. I wouldn't have been able to make that decision to change my weapon of choice specifically for this matchup. And I feel like sometimes the devs talk about that. They talk about how they want players to be able to play with different weapons, because sometimes some weapons will just have an advantage and they will have a better matchup against specific monsters. While that's like fun for some people, I've always been the type of guy that tries to find what they connect with, and then I just exhaust that option until I know everything there is to know about that weapon or about that playstyle. Once you learn how to play Monster Hunter, you can make informed decisions to help yourself a lot better, you know? Which is something that, you know, if I was playing like for the first time, I would never have thought of like just changing the weapon that I was using. I would have tried to just brute force it. But because I have a notion of what's possible in the game, I have experience with other titles, I was able to help myself. And so I think that that's something that it's really interesting about Monster Hunter in general. You learn how to play, like you learn a specific set of tools and skills. And you learn how to play Monster Hunter and you can be creative with it because you have such an understanding of the game and what is possible in it, like in general, right? So just a reminder, I'm still trying to make this a blind playthrough. And I have been spoiled of a couple of things. Usually when people tell me some things or they accidentally give me spoilers, I still try to avoid using that information to my favor. Because it's basically, oh, I didn't figure it out by myself, so I don't really want to like I'm still trying to play the game in a way that allows me to see how good is this game in terms of onboarding and in terms of telling you like the different mechanics. Now, obviously, Monster Hunter is known for being a franchise that really has a lot of tech and has a lot of knowledge that is not displayed anywhere in the game. And that's a given for me. I understand that. But I still want to just, I still want to navigate the fog of war, quote unquote, on my own to see just how well you can navigate this. How good is the game at giving you hints to help yourself? So I'm still doing it that way. Oh, so the other thing that somebody, speaking of spoilers, somebody told me that this game has something that is called key quests. And even with this information, I'm still trying to avoid, like, I haven't looked at any third-party websites in order to find like the list of key quests, both for Village and for Hub. What I will say, however, it's that I didn't really pay attention to, you know, any possible dialogue that tells you this, that the game goes like, hey, like, there's gonna be a lot of quests, but you don't need to do them all. I don't really know if that happens in the game. But what I will say is that usually, like, the way I think about it is, I will just do what is new and what looks interesting. And the most interesting aspect of this game is the monsters. So usually, when you go from, like, I don't know, like, let's say like 3 stars low rank quests to 4 stars, I will not want to like go into the gathering 4-star quests. I want to see the new monsters, right? So I go do that, I fight the new monsters, and then I move on to possible repeated monsters. So the thing is that, in general, I didn't really have any problems with this key quest thing. Again, I don't know which ones are the key quests, but I don't want to know, because usually you can kind of, like, more or less make a good guess, right? If you fight the big monsters, especially the new monsters that you get with every tier, you should be making progress towards the list of key quests, right? And it doesn't really bother me that I'm fighting or I'm doing more quests than I should, because the game's still fun. So I like fighting almost every monster. As long as I'm having fun with the combat system, it's good. We're good, you know? Like, I don't really care about that. So even though I have avoided looking at lists, now that I have this information, like, it's a bit impossible for me to like pretend that I don't really know about this. And I'm still able to more or less guess or discern which quests could be key quests. It's not like I make decisions without that information in mind. It's a little bit difficult to avoid now that I know about it, you know? But anyway, like, in general, I still just do the quests that I think are going to be relevant. That's how I'm treating this now. So, just to give you guys a little bit of context on how much progress have I made, I already finished Village. In fact, I did a 12-hour stream the other day to celebrate the 1,500 subs. And the stream was pretty cool. Like, the people that went there were very friendly to me, and, like, you know, we had a lot of, like, cool conversation. It was pretty fun. But I was able to finish Village high rank during the stream. I fought Valstrax for the first time, which was pretty cool. And now I'm working on the Hub grind. Right? That has been a little bit time consuming because it's a lot of monsters and they have more HP, but it has not been difficult. In fact, in that sense, I haven't been walled. I know that I said that, for example, I carted or like I failed the quest with Gravios like 3 times, but I don't consider failing a quest 3 times like a wall. It's not like it completely halted my progression. I had to do a little bit of adjusting, and when I did, I was able to beat it quite, easily. After a couple of tries. I think that when people talk about walls, they are like referring to something that really, like, it's like kryptonite. It's something that really stops you on your tracks and you're having a lot of problems to figure it out. And it has not happened, but it's mostly because, again, experience and monster knowledge has really carried me the fuck out. I can really make informed guesses and decisions when it comes to facing different monsters, and I can recognize a lot of their attack patterns because I've seen them on other games. So monster experience, or rather Monster Hunter experience, is really impactful when you move on to like any title. Even though I started playing like on 5th gen, and then this is the first time that I'm trying like an older kind of design, it still carries over extremely well. Monster knowledge, weapon knowledge, item knowledge, mechanics knowledge, it just extremely helps your experience, and it allows you to have so much more agency over the experience that you can have in the game. Let's talk about a few things regarding UI, interface decisions. Now that I'm playing GU, I really extremely appreciate and value the genius behind the radial menu in Monster Hunter World and the weapon trees, because it's not like they broke the game. They simply allowed you to have ease of access to your items, and they allowed you to visualize the weapon tree and your ability to separate which designs needed which materials and which monster parts. And okay, so obviously when it comes to GU, there's value behind not knowing what monster gives you what weapon, and it's obviously it can be a very enjoyable experience to kind of like discover the weapons that you want, or just try making different weapons until you find something that surprises you, right? For the most part, it has been pretty exciting for me to just go to the blacksmith, like thinking, oh, I just hunted this monster, I want to see if I can make it like a cool weapon out of him. And I get there, and sometimes you don't even know if you can actually do that, because maybe you're missing an upgrade that you haven't really made yet in order to get to the point that the monster that you hunted can become a new weapon. And I don't like that. I don't like it simply because I think it's an interface issue. I should be able to visualize the trajectory and the evolution of the weapons that I've crafted, and you cannot really do that. It's like, unless you're writing them down or like looking at them on a third-party website or something, it's very difficult to visualize how did you make a weapon, with what materials, what was the progression tree of that weapon, and then what are your possibilities moving forward. And so that's where I think that the weapon tree in World, even though it had its problems because it kind of gatekeeps you from like really cool weapons or more advanced, higher rarity weapons for the people that know how to make them, you know, it kind of gatekeeps your agency in that regard, because the weapon tree expands as you progress on the story. It doesn't really open up if you find the right materials. Let's say that I'm playing World and I go on low rank and I kill Rathalos, like with the bone armor set at the very start of the game. I think it would be fair that if I had the skill to kill Rathalos on low rank, I should be allowed to craft a Rathalos weapon, because I earned it, right? But World doesn't let you do that because the weapon trees are gatekept by the progression on the story, and I feel like it's a boring design decision. It's not necessarily super bad, it's just boring. If I have the experience and the knowledge to unlock specific weapons earlier, I should just be able to do that. And I think in GU you can kinda do that. If you know the weapon trees or the weapon path that you want to follow, and you know how to get there quickly, you know, the game doesn't stop you. It just doesn't allow you to visualize that progress. So for me, the perfect sweet spot to visualize this would be to have the weapon tree, but it only shows you the weapons that you have crafted. So that way, it's only so that I can have like a tool that allows me to visualize the weapons easily. Not necessarily that it tells me what else there is until I craft it. I think that would be very cool, because it would keep the discovery aspect of crafting new weapons and trying different paths and different like monster materials and stuff, because it's not showing you everything, it's just showing you what you have made. But that also would allow you to like know how can you craft the same weapon again if you want to. Which was the main problem that I'm having with some weapons in GU. It's like, oh, I want to craft this specific weapon because then it can, you know, evolve into two different paths. But I don't remember how you get to the basic or to the base weapon first. So it's just a visualization problem that I have with it. The other thing, the radial menu is such an elegant solution to the scrolling menu that you had in old gen Monster Hunter. I cannot stress this enough. It's genius, it's elegant, it's practical, and it even allows you to do some things that have always been done in the game in a much more accessible way, which is crafting potions on the go, the ability to directly choose the item that you want. Obviously, for some people, this it's like valuable. It's a valuable part of the experience. The fact that you have to scroll through your inventory, and the whole layer of like having to organize your item pouch in a way that doesn't become an inconvenience because you're having too much items on your item pouch. Listen, I don't know what it is about like these types of things, but some people really like that type of design, and it's just super impractical. It just like, I think that to say that that is a design decision that is like adding value to the game is a little bit of a stretch. At the time that these games were coming out, maybe they were just part of the experience, so you didn't question them too much. But I feel that today, it's just archaic design. It's inconvenience for the sake of inconvenience. And I don't think that, I'm not saying that they, like the developers did this on purpose. I think it's more like an accident that the menu navigation in combat was so inconvenient. And yes, that means that it adds a layer of like difficulty, but it's difficulty to handle the UI. It's not a difficulty in combat, you know? It's just because you have to deal with this inconvenience, everything else is also affected, you know? And the radial menu is just, for as simple as it is, it manages to take such a huge leap in design that allows you to be much more quick with the items that you want to use, with the actions that you want, with the decisions that you want to make. And I think that's a good thing every day of the week. The radial menu is incredible. So anyway, there's little details that I've noticed in the UI department that have been really improved with newer gen for Monster Hunt. Oh, another one, very simple idea. I don't know how this wasn't thought about before, but the simple fact that you can push a take all button at the end of a quest? Come on, dude. That should be basic. It's just, I want to grab my items, just give them to me. Why do I have to go one by one, like clicking them to send them to my box? Just take everything. I want everything anyway. I know. At some point in Monster Hunter's history, this was important because you didn't have as much space as you do today on your item box. I get it, but I think at the time that GU was out, this was starting to not be so important anymore. So why don't we have a simple take everything button? I know it's such a small nitpick, but you know, another thing that really gives you some contrast in like how big is the innovation and the polish that they've been doing in the later years with the franchise. In my last podcast episode, I had game developers on the podcast, and one of them at some point mentioned that he really admired how strong the vision was from the Monster Hunter developer team. And it's because of this. It's because when they want to take risks, when they want to make changes, when they want to reinvent themselves, they really experiment with things, and some of them don't land, but I do think that over the years, the changes to interface have landed for the most part, right? It can be improved, yes, but it has been improving quite a lot actually, so that's pretty cool. I'm not sure if this is included or is considered to be an UI element, but damage numbers. I don't get to see damage numbers. Now, according to what I said on my last video about GU, that's not necessarily super important, because as I said, when you get a weapon upgrade that goes from like 90 damage to 100 damage, or raw damage, it's actually immediately represented in your gameplay. That small increase in the damage of your weapon, it's immediately felt in how much the monsters start to flinch and how much you can knock them over and stuff like that. And because of that, I would say that I'm not really missing damage numbers too much, except for the side of me that always wants to, you know, at least feel that I'm optimizing my gameplay and my builds and my sets. That said, I started noticing the damage feedback system that this game has. And it's actually kinda brilliant. I come from a background where I've played many MMOs, and the ability to quantify your damage is extremely important, or at least, like, extremely sought after. The MMO player wants to know how much damage they are doing. They want to have damage meters. They want to know, because they want to optimize everything about their games, right? In Monster Hunter, when I played Monster Hunter for the first time, the fact that I couldn't see the monster's HP was such a refreshing thing to me. Even though you would think that there's so many games that probably do something similar, where they hide information from you. To me, it felt like an integral part of the experience. It didn't feel like they were hiding information from me. It felt like part of the immersion, because you're not supposed to know just how strong or healthy these creatures are. You just have to, you know, push through. When you've been fighting a monster for like 30 minutes already, you can feel this fatigue that I think is intended in a way. These fights have to last so long, and it's like a weird masochistic but good feeling, at least it feels good to me, that you don't know how much health there is left in this monster, because it adds a layer of immersion where you kind of have to just pull through and hope for the best every time you fight a difficult encounter, right? And then it's even more genius when you see them limp, because the moment they start limping, it's like such an explosion of dopamine. It's like, oh, I'm so close! And so you get like a really big second wind from that, especially after a particularly difficult encounter. So I liked that very much. But even in World, you still had damage numbers, and I like having damage numbers. I just like being able to quantify at least how much damage I'm doing per hit, right? And in GU, you don't have that. But you have the sound and particle effects, and I'm starting to pick up on those. And this is how you know that Capcom has been really trying to teach their players how to play their game. Because you can notice in the size of the splash, it's like the hit splash, you can feel the hit stop, and you can also see like the sound cue is a lot more satisfying when you hit a part of the monster that is particularly like weak and meaty. It's like, oh, you got it on that sweet spot. You got him good, right? And to be fair, for as old as this franchise is, that is genius design, man. It's incredibly good design. To think that they've been doing it like this for so long. I mean, I don't really know if this was the case for like Monster Hunter 1. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, I have no idea. But I picked up on this, and I was just like smiling, because I just thought this is such a brilliant and subtle, elegant way to portray this information, to give the player a feedback loop without having to necessarily lift the veil completely, you know? And I really like when developers do that, because they trust on your ability to recognize patterns, which is, by the way, it's like something incredibly important in this game anyway. But yeah, I was just like super like happy, or somehow like I had like this feeling of wonder when I started noticing this, because I just found it so clever. So clever from like a more of an old design perspective, and it's kind of sad that today, if you tried doing this, people would probably complain, because it's like, oh, you're not teaching me how to play your game. And then it's like, if you put the information there, it's like, oh, it is a yellow paint, so you cannot win. But back in the day, you know, older games could really take risks, and they could just have some freedoms to make this type of design decisions, and I think they are really cool. Extremely clever stuff from the developer's perspective. Let's talk about some monsters that were really cool to fight. Let's see. I think this is a common experience, but Great Macau. God damn. What a great raptor monster. And it's super cool also because I think people don't give that monster enough credit. Not only because, from what I've heard, it's like an innovative raptor monster compared to what the franchise had seen up until that point when it comes to like the first quote-unquote big monsters that you can fight. But also Macau allows you to experiment with the core mechanic of the game, which is the hunter arts. Like, if you want to learn or get the gist of how a hunter art and a hunter style works, Great Macau is such a good monster to experiment with that. Because, for example, in my case, I am playing Adept, so there were two things that I could experiment on. One was the perfect blocking, and I could once you recognize that Macau jumps really far, like he lunges very far, you can either wait for him to land on top of you at the end of his animation and block it and then punish it, or you can be on axe mode to use the adept dodge and chase after him with the adept dodge. So you have two things that you can experiment on, and you can start to try to learn with the very first monster of the game. I think Great Macau is such a good addition to GU and to Monster Hunter in general, specifically for GU, because it allows you to experiment with these new mechanics, and that's how you can tell if you're gonna click with a specific type of playstyle or not. So really, really good stuff. Now, monsters that I haven't really seen in other titles, Tetsukabra, Malfestio, really cool. Please bring back Malfestio, man. Come on, like how are we not? It's a monster game. How do you not have an owl monster? Come on, Wilds, make it happen. Narjarala, I made a couple of comments on Narjarala on my last video. Gammoth, it's a spectacle. I don't think it was a particularly difficult fight. Obviously, it's the low and high rank. It's not going to do much to you. The size, the tremors, the fucking animations that she has. I don't know. Such a treat. Samtrios. Dude. Such a cool design. How come that Samtrios is not in the game in like new gen? The fuck? And it even has like cool faces too. Like when he has the ice armor, he's a lot faster. He seems like more dangerous because he deals more damage. And he also, it's easier to bounce off of the armor. So you have to approach him with a lot more care, you know? Then you have the fat face, where it's also like this risk/reward kind of thing, because he becomes like very soft but very big, and with that it can be like a hazard. It's like, yeah, come and hit me, but also if I step on you, you better have some HP because I'm gonna beat the shit out of you. Celta's Queen, god damn it! I don't know, man. I'm really eating good with you. I really am. Like, not only it's an insect monster, which I really like in concept, it's a fucking mega insect monster, right? And I've heard some terrible things about how Celta's Queens treats Celtas. It is what it is. But just the fight is so cool, especially when they combine and then they do their dual attacks and whatnot. Just another fight that I feel it's just pure spectacle. Duramboros is such a silly guy, and I like him just because of that. He's just so silly. I will say that I didn't really take joy in hunting him because he's just like a silly guy. Like, can't we just like leave him alone? Like, come on, like let the guy eat his like what does he eat? Like rocks or maybe like vegetables? I don't know. But anyways, like aesthetically super cool, and also mechanically very fun as well. It's also like, it's so like silly to look at such a big like monster spin like that, but it almost like it does feel realistic because of how the weight is distributed in his body. Agnaktor kinda showed me what can be a cool Lavasioth. Lavasioth, sadly, I met it, I saw it for the first time in World. Fucking terrible fight. Bullshit ass fight. The worst offense in like base World was the fact that they made an event quest that was the best decoration farming quest, where you had to fight a tempered Lavasioth. And ever since they did that, I've hated that monster because I didn't really like fighting him because of the whole like hardening and like softening mechanic that it has, which is a lot better with Agnaktor, because, you know, when you start the fight, you cannot really go all offense on him until he starts burrowing into the lava, and then you see how his parts soften. And not only that, but if you target different parts and you start to break them, then you don't really have to rely on that mechanic anymore, because it's like you have broken the lava covering his body. So once you get rid of that, you can just fight the monster normally. And so it's like you can treat this fight as an objective-oriented fight, where you have to break specific parts, and once you do that, you can enjoy your fight as usual, right? You can like impose your will a little bit more on the monster instead of the other way around. With Lavasioth, I think you never get to that moment, and I hated that. Like, I feel monsters have to have a way to impose their will into the fight, and then with like proper mechanics and intelligent fighting, you should be able to get the upper hand and to like then kind of like snowball the fight, because you did everything that you needed to do and you earned it, right? But with Lavasioth, that never seems to happen, because even if you break like any of the parts of his body, he can still harden, and it's still super fucking annoying. But Agnaktor, not only his design is fucking goated, man. It's such a cool design. I don't know what it is. Maybe I've always thought I'm a little bit autistic, but you know, we don't know. But the way that he like claps his fucking mouth, for some reason, just scratches such a good itch on my brain. I don't know what it is. Just hearing him go like, I don't know. It's funny. It's cool. Such a good detail to give personality to the monster. You know what's funny? I always say this. Monsters are spectacles. This is like a quote-unquote like a theme park, and monsters can be spectacle. They can be the attractions of the theme park. And Nibelsnarf. I was fighting Nibelsnarf on my stream the other day, and everybody was like, not everybody, but like some people in the chat were like, dude, like fuck Nibelsnarf. I hate fighting him. He's so silly for no reason. And I was like, what do you mean, dude? He's just a silly guy. Like, look at this. He's eating the barrel. He eats the explosive barrel. You put it there, he chomps the air, and suddenly, blop, he gulps a fucking explosive barrel. And that allows you to get an opening when you do that. And people in the chat were like, what? You can do that? And so I feel like some monsters are misunderstood. And the reason why I knew, or I found out about the explosive barrel, was because the first time that I hunted Nibelsnarf, there were barrel bombs on the supply box. And the supply box, usually, if you pay attention, is like, it's such a niche when it comes to the mechanics of the monster. Like, you fight Diablos in World, they put some screamer pots on there for you, right? It's like, hey, we're gonna put a specific tool here for you. You should probably, you should probably go and check it out. The same happens with Rathalos, for example. They give you flash pots. It's like, if you're gonna fight Rathalos, here you go. You have some flash pots, right? So the supply box gives you a really good hint of what you can expect in this fight and what you should be doing to get the advantage. And so I showed that on the stream, and some people were like, what? I've been playing, I have over like 300 hours on this game and I've never seen that. And I think it's because, sometimes it's very easy to get absorbed into this idea that the weapon is the only way to fight the monster. And while I think that some of the best fights are determined by how involved and engaging the combat is with the monster by using your weapon, I also think that not every fight should be like that. And Nibelsnarf is such a good example of how you can do that. So I immediately fell in love. Even though he's really annoying, I still really like the guy. Such a silly, stupid fight. Somebody gave me another detail about something that you can do with Nibelsnarf that I don't remember now, but it was something about using the fishing rod, I think, to pull him out of the sand or something like that. I'm not sure. But yeah, little interactions like that are really cool. All right, so let's talk about Huntathons. So Huntathons, I think, should come back. And they should come back not only in Wilds, they should be a specific type of quest that doesn't let you restock. Because it's, and obviously maybe we can make it, they could make it so that, progression is not necessarily gatekept by doing this type of quest, but you can get some really damn good rewards when you do them. Huntathons are what really shows you that scarcity can screw you over. And the lack of restocking is obviously a massive layer of old-gen design. It definitely gave me a new perspective on the value of restocking, and even though I can definitely see what is the appeal of no restocking in old gen, I will still defend restocking for reasons that I'm not going to say yet because I'm working on that. I'm working on that video. Definitely two different experiences that have their own value and obviously also their cons when it comes to the experience that you're trying to convey. But you will never feel the scarcity of your item pouch more than when you're in a Huntathon. Really good content as well. Before I moved on to like high rank, I did the Huntathon where you have to fight the Fated Four just because I wanted to feel that I was doing the content in the level that I was supposed to. Oh, on that note, I have tried every single deviant the moment they appeared on my quest log. The only one that I haven't fought has been Lagombi, because honestly, fuck him. I don't like Lagombi. But every other monster that I've seen, I fought them. The deviants are such a good spin-off on the different species. And I think that in some cases, they even fixed some of the like pains that I have with some monsters. Specifically, this happened to me with Grimclaw. Regular Tigrex runs too fucking much. And he runs, not only he runs a lot, he like tries to trample you and then proceeds to run to the other fucking edge of the map. Come on, dude. Just fight me. Fight me. I'm right here. What are you doing running all the way over there? Right? Grimclaw, on the other hand, he will throw hands non-stop with you. It's oppressive, but at least he's like going after you. He engages you. He doesn't run around like randomly all over the place. And so it became this weird situation where I think Grimclaw, and I fought him when I was already like on high rank, right? I think Grimclaw was one of the few, probably the first monster that triple carted me 3 times. Around the 3rd or 4th attempt, I was able to kill him without any cards. But yeah, he beat the shit out of me for a second there. It was a learning experience. It really was. But I think I enjoy Grimclaw a lot more than regular Tigrex. We'll see what happens when I get to G rank, and like I had to fight the G rank version of that. But for now, I like Grimclaw, actually. A lot more than regular Tigrex, and a lot more than Brute Tigrex from from Iceborne. Holy shit, man. I must have hunted like 3 of those in my whole life. I hate it. So apparently a new Talisman system is coming to Wilds, and if it looks anything like what I see in GU, honestly, fuck me sideways, because I hate these type of systems on a fundamental level. I have my video about Artian weapons. I have my stance on multivariate probability systems. I don't like them. They are never designed in a way that is trying to respect the player's time. Even though people are like complaining so much about the fact that they have nothing to chase, I don't care. This could have been avoided by a better pacing of your game. So now they are trying to fix something that they could have prevented. I don't know, man. And so, anyway, I stick to GU. In the case of GU, same thing. Multivariate probability system with different skills and stuff. I don't like it. I don't like having to gamble in order to see if I can make like a cool set or like have different options for my set building. I do not like it. It sucks. Melding talismans will always suck for me. I don't like it. So another thing that has happened to me is that I have found new value on the separation between village and hub quests, especially if you're doing them alone, because fighting a lot of different monsters just makes you better at Monster Hunter in general. And the thing that's happening to me right now is that I already did all the village quests, and now I'm in the hub quests. But because I have already fought like most of the roster a bunch of times on the village quests, I am making a lot less mistakes in hub quests. But now this is like the part of the learning curve where I'm actually polishing my skills on hub, you know? I know that it's also like I have to grind this part of the content, sure, but it's like, because I have already fought these monsters, I already have a basic understanding of what they can do, and in the hub version they have more HP, so I fight them for longer, meaning that I can polish my skills by having more exposure to the game mechanics, and to what is possible to me. So it's been very enjoyable because it's this part of the learning curve that it's like my favorite part. My least favorite part of any learning curve is the very beginning, when I'm completely ignorant of everything that's happening. I fucking hate not having any type of control of what's going on. I hate it. But the middle point is the most enjoyable to me, when I already have like a basic understanding, and that means that now I can make informed decisions on the way that I approach things. And that's what I've been doing in hub, and because the fights are a bit longer, I've been able to just in general practice a lot of my Monster Hunter skills, and that's been pretty cool. One last very, very small detail that I will mention about GU, and it's the trust that the developers had on the player's intelligence and agency. There was one very specific quest that made me think about this. It was a quest where you have to gather Gargwa eggs. So you go there, you find the Gargwas, you kill them, nothing happens. You go to the place in the map where there's a bunch of eggs, you get the egg. It's not a Gargwa egg. What's going on here? Where are these eggs, you know? I'd run around the map for like 20 minutes. At the beginning, it was kind of my fault because the quest said like it's an egg quest. I immediately assumed that it was going to be about like carrying an egg from the different nests that you can find in the maps. So I tried that first and it didn't work. Probably missing something. And so suddenly I go like, okay, you know what? The hunter notes are usually fucking dog shit in Monster Hunter, but let's give it a try. And what do I find? First, I go to the quest objective. It has to be specifically Gargwa eggs. And so I check the hunter's notes, and it says something like, Gargwas are known for laying eggs when they get scared. And I'm like, I mean, I have literally slapped these guys around, and I haven't seen them lay any eggs. And so I go like, what can be like something that can, I don't know, like startle them or whatever. And I just pick up a paintball and threw it, and it worked. The monster got startled and it laid an egg. And I was like, damn, this type of design would be so criticized today. Because basically what you had to do is read. Again, reading in Olgin, the most powerful weapon that you can have, right? But yeah, it really shows you how things have changed because developers today are dealing with a completely different type of public. And you know, obviously there's this very conflictive, I guess, conversation around things like yellow paint. Yellow paint has become like a trending thing to talk about in video game development and design, and it doesn't seem like people can like come to an agreement about it. But the truth is, more often than not, players today need yellow paint. Like, how many streamers or like YouTubers or stuff like that you see that are oblivious to their surroundings, and it's always like they seem to be blind because they don't really pick up on different details about things, you know? And in a lot of cases, that will represent the average person, I think. And so it's one of those things that, because I've been playing games for a long time, I really appreciate it because I find it very clever. And I like feeling that the developers respect my intelligence and trust my ability to figure things out. But it's also, I'm thinking that it's probably a type of design that would be so incompatible with today's audience. I don't know, man. I felt really good about like doing that with the Garwa eggs, but again, not sure if that's something that could be done today with with Wilds. Even though Wilds is probably the most fitting title to do that. If only there wasn't like a bunch of people that tried to basically give the answers of how you solve the fishing quests all over the internet. But anyway, so again, what I wanted to do with this video mostly was to give you guys some of my other impressions as I've continued to enjoy the fuck out of GU. I've been having so much fun, but also I haven't been able to play as much as I wanted actually, because I've been like making this other video that I want to do. But I figured since that video is gonna take a bit longer, why not make, you know, a video commenting my impressions and my different interactions with GU. It has been such an enjoyable experience, and so I wanted to share how are things going with me in general, how are things doing with the GU experience, and again, recommend GU to the people that are looking for more Monster Hunter in general. It is such a good title, man. It holds up extremely well. So I do hope that you have enjoyed my yappening, because this is just sharing random stuff that I find that I've experienced with this game. But you know, if any of you get interested and then you start playing GU, that would definitely be something positive. So anyway, as always, my name is Sun. I'll try to keep working on more videos. My only problem now is that I cannot work as fast as I would want to, but just know that I'm there. I'm working on it. So yeah, thank you very much. Thanks to the people that went to the stream the other day. That shit was super fucking fun. I had so much fun. I was not expecting people to show up, actually. And I think I never dropped below like 20 people on the stream. It was so nice to see people that got interested on like joining and just talking and whatnot. I really appreciate it, so thank you very much. Thanks for all the support. Anyway, that's gonna be it for today. Just wanted to share some thoughts. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you guys are staying hydrated. I'll see you guys in the next one. Be on the lookout, because I'm working on a documentary type thing, and I put a lot of work into this one. So yeah, I don't know. I don't want to hype you guys too much, because if it's shit, well, it is what it is. So yeah, take care, guys. Have a good one.